Hi friends, hope you're having a wonderful day. Just wanted to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. If you don't happen to celebrate, then I hope you spend some time with your friends and family and enjoy the time off from work or school. Anyway, without further delay, let's get into this holiday build. Welcome in my friends. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope your holidays are particularly merry. But yeah, so we're back again. Some commentary post after the fact. As far as the build is concerned this week, I had this idea about a month ago as kind of a holiday themed build. It's a little more on the simple side, so I don't know how much I'll have to say about it, but hopefully you enjoy it all the same. Essentially, the idea was to kind of have a little ice rink in a central location to the town. And in the center of that little ice rink, I'd have like a pretty extravagant Christmas tree. So I've never really built a whole lot with snow or ice, so this was also a nice opportunity to experiment with some of these blocks. I learned a few things in the process of doing this. In that regular ice obviously melts. That much I did know. What I didn't know is that packed ice and its other adjacent, which I'm drawing a blank on, do not melt when they are exposed to light or near objects that create heat. So that was pretty interesting. I didn't have any like particular dimensions for this, you know? I just kind of went with whatever was available, and tried to make it as big as I could while also still making it kind of quaint, you know? I didn't want it to be like massive, right? But I also didn't want it to be tiny. So I did have to extend the surface underneath a little bit. And so I had the border of this act as, you know, stone brick as usual, and then deep slate walls. And so in the center there, I kind of marked the spot where I wanted the tree to be, with a stone brick, and just kind of placing snow along the edges to kind of give it, a little more of a, I don't know, interesting effect. And I placed snow on top of that. And if you can see in the corner over there on the opposite side, I tried to give it the effect that the corners kind of had more buildup of snow, which is typically how it would go, you know. If you have people skating around a ice rink like this, naturally the excess is going to be pushed to the corners, so I thought that was a pretty nice little touch. Yeah, in the center, I just did like, you know, 2-second mock-up basically of what the tree is gonna look like. I would hope my Christmas tree didn't look like that. It's not very inspiring, I'd say. You know, dirt block on the top, but I thought it was, you know, it was kind of funny, so I did it in the moment. As is typically the case with a lot of my builds, you know, it's spur of the moment. I don't really plan stuff out. I just kind of do it and see what I like and what I don't. So yeah, for the surface of the ice, I guess I should mention that I went with just regular ice because I kind of liked the effect that it gives off, that you're able to still kind of see through it. Whereas with packed ice, it's like a solid block, you know, there's no transparency whatsoever. And yeah, I was kind of battling with the light a little bit, obviously, because nighttime with no lighting makes things a little bit difficult to see. Um, so I was experimenting a little bit. I went with different kinds of walls on top of the deep slate walls to see if I liked it. And I thought it looked alright, but I think for this build I wasn't like a huge fan. So I ended up trying to see what fences on top of walls looked like, and ended up settling on that. I think it ended up looking pretty nice. I initially started the corners here with like deep slate wall pillars with these lanterns on top of them and the daylight sensors on top of that. I'm not super redstone savvy, so I don't really know how to use them. I was running into an issue where they were on during the day and off at night, so I'm sure there's a way to circumvent that, but I am not that savvy. So as you can see in the background, they shut off, so I was just kind of trying to figure out an alternative. So I went with the frog lights, which I'd never really used, and I was again experimenting with putting I think the daylight sensors were still on top of them at this point. And obviously they'd serve no real function, but I thought, you know, maybe it'll look alright. But then I decided to go with a bit of a different design with the lighting here, and made them these kind of lanterns almost, like large lanterns. But I decided to forego that idea because I had a different idea I wanted to try out instead. We're kind of involved a long line, and then underneath that long line there'd just be a bunch of lanterns hanging, and so that's what I'm doing here. I did it with stone brick. I don't think that was not stone brick, deep slate walls, and I didn't like it, so I ended up foregoing that idea entirely. And so, yeah, we turn the lights back on naturally because I get rid of the artificial lights. But I had seen this idea online in another build. Again, I'm remiss to say I don't recall who it was. I find myself scrolling through social media, you know, as I'm about to go to bed. And on my feed I get a lot of like little Minecraft builds and stuff, and so especially on social media it's really hard to know who the originator of particular builds or build ideas are because things get shared around so much. But yeah, I saw this idea with leaves and a top fence posts, and it made this like really cool, like there's a word for it, I'm drawing a blank on it, but it's not a wreath, but it's like if you I don't know, stretched a wreath out, you know, something like that. So that was the idea, and so I don't want to take credit for coming up with this, because I certainly didn't. I sniped it from someone else, right? I always like to give credit when I can, and you know, I think it's important to say when you had a particular idea and you came up with something, and when you saw something interesting and you're like, okay, I just want to emulate that because I think it's pretty nice. So here I'm just putting some more leaves on top to give it a little bit of depth. And I think it turned out pretty nice. The one thing I think I would have gone back and done is have some of the excess kind of run off the sides to give it a pretty nice little effect. And I experimented with it a little bit, as you'll see, but I didn't stick with it. And I think if I had tried a little bit more with that particular idea, I think it could have ended up looking really nice. So I think maybe in the future I go back and I change that. But as it stands for this build, what you see is what you get. So, then I move on to lighting, obviously, because I'm getting a little bit tired of the command to change the time of day. And this is kind of a moment where I learned that lanterns, even if they're 2 blocks up on a fence post, can melt snow underneath them. So I'm not entirely sure what the range is on lanterns as far as its melting ability, but it certainly melted some of the snow I placed down. So, but I think it ended up looking all right. You know, I think it looked a little more natural in that some places were there was more snow than others, and it was a little bit more random, which I think was good. So then we finally move on to building the tree, and I think this was probably the part of the build I struggled with the most, but I think that's about what I expected, to be honest, because I've never built a Christmas tree in Minecraft, shockingly. And so it was just kind of like trying to get the dimensions correct, trying to make the leaves look good, and it also still leaving room to skate around. I think another thing I may have done in hindsight is maybe make both the X and Y a little bit longer, so that there's just more room generally, and I could have changed where the tree was, but you know, what's said is, you know, it's all said and done at this point, so I don't know that it matters too much, but yeah, I did struggle quite a bit with that, and I ended up on this final design, which I think was probably the best idea. And then I started trying to figure out what I was going to do for a star on top. And I think I kind of nailed it out of the gate with the frog light and the yellow glass blocks. But I did still experiment a little bit after the fact with panes, but I wasn't like a huge fan of that personally. Because if you put one on top, it just looked weird. So I stuck with the blocks, and then I decorated the tree a little bit with more of the gold blocks and redstone blocks that I had placed around. I did have a suggestion from a viewer to put a beacon on top of the tree, and I did experiment with that quite a bit, as you'll see. I'm not very beacon savvy either, going back to what I was saying about redstone. I've never used a beacon in survival. I've never been like super great at that. You know, like I've beaten the Ender Dragon a few times before, but never Wither, which is, I believe, how you get the stuff to make a beacon, if I'm not mistaken. So, I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get like the beam to shoot out of the beacon, because I do think that would have looked pretty cool if I could have figured it out, which, you know, I think maybe in the future I'll try to figure it out, but it is what it is, right? Though I didn't give up on the idea, so you'll see here in a little bit what I mean by that, but I ended up putting these little banners on the front of the entrance. Initially, I had thought that I wanted to maybe do a little pattern on them as well, but I didn't. I thought just like the static color ended up looking really nice, so I just stuck with that. Another thing I figured out, you can't put banners on leaf blocks. It was interesting. So, back to what I was saying about the beacon. I thought, or we had this idea that we try to put it underneath the tree and have the light kind of shine all the way up through the top. And I couldn't get it to work. So in hindsight, now that I'm looking at it, maybe it was because it was directly underneath a block. Although it looks like I may have destroyed that block, so I don't know. Yeah, it's just something I'll have to look into. So I ended up building like this giant diamond, you know, beacon pyramid for nothing, basically, because I couldn't get it to work. And I was also dealing with the beacon intermittently melting ice. So I'd have to come back up here, replace it with packed ice, and then go back down. Yeah, I don't really know why I picked diamond either. I feel like, you know, gold may have been more appropriate given how much I had used it up to this point. Maybe even netherite since I'm in creative, you know? Like, why not, right? But, yeah, I went for diamond, and so a lot of this is unfortunately for naught. It's pretty boring, you know? I'm just like removing blocks underneath the tree in a very cramped space, which is why we're getting this angle above, you know, because otherwise there's really no good angle underneath. So I think this may have been the point where I finally gave up on it. Cut my losses, but I did leave the pyramid as it was underneath. So now there's just a diamond pyramid underneath the tree. One of the final things I would do with this build is put up some ornaments on the tree. So I didn't really know of anything particular that I wanted up there. I put a deep slate stone brick up there just because I've been using it a lot lately, and it's kind of a running joke between me and a few of my viewers. So, but outside of that, I just put on, like, you know, a lot of the ores that are available. So diamond, gold, redstone. I think I even put coal on there. And then there was an idea to put like flint and steel and TNT next to each other on the tree, which I thought was pretty funny, so I did that as well. I messed around with the banners a little bit more. I put them on, or I would end up putting them on both sides, and I thought that ended up looking pretty nice. I kind of wanted a sign somewhere, but I couldn't really get it to look good. Unless, like, maybe I could have put it on the fence posts, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so then we move to probably the final part of this build, which is the Merry Christmas sign. Merry Christmas for 2023. We put in some gates. And then that's really about it. I extended the walkway out, and later I would texture it, but you know, I don't think, as far as the build is concerned, it's not really part of it, you know. So I hesitate to say it's part of the build. But yeah, as far as the ice rink and the tree is concerned, that's pretty much all I had to do. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for me. I just wanted to again wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that. You have fantastic time with your family, your friends, all that. And until next time, guys, take it easy. Love you. Peace.